Calificas para ser legal. ¿Quieres saber? Solo llama al abogado Andrés Mejer.
Number 2. Trump is reopening immigration cases that have been closed for people who have DACA. I know, it's a huge surprise, right? Trump wants to deport immigrants who have DACA. Wow, like nobody knew that, right? You couldn't have figured that one out. But this is different because think about it. What is DACA? Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Remove the childhood arrivals. It's deferred action. What's deferred action? It's protection from deportation and employment authorization. If I have deferred action, how are you, government, trying to deport me? The whole point of it is that I don't get deported as long as I meet the criteria. That's the deal. That's why I applied. So, up until about September 2017, judges had discretion. And by judges, I'm talking about immigration judges. They could decide when to close the case. They could decide when the case should be adjourned or not, unlike what's happening today. So, over the course of the past decade, there have been over 350,000 cases that immigration judges, in their discretion, closed. They call it administrative closure. What is that? We've talked about it in the past. But in simple words, it's the judge that takes the case off of his calendar. Either of the two parties can request to put it back on the calendar. It's not permanent closure. It's not you get to stay here forever. It's not you get a legal benefit. It's just for reasons that the judge decides or that the parties agree to, the case gets removed off the calendar. Now, since 2012, when Obama announced DACA, there have been cases that were closed because the immigrant had DACA. I've had them. Almost any immigration attorney that's been around long enough has them. Now, what people don't know is since October, November, the Trump administration has been filing to recalendar those cases closed because of DACA. We have one client, so that was found himself in that situation, but not October, November. We're talking about this has been going on over a year. So he was accused of a crime. Well, let's be honest. He was accused of 5 crimes. So he had DACA, and he was pulled over a number of times, possession, he was arrested a number of times. He had a prior attorney. His prior attorney sucked. That's the nicest way I could put it. He pretty much pled him guilty to almost everything he could. Did absolutely nothing for him. Came to us when he was in ICE custody. So that meant that the government was trying to deport him, even though he had DACA, because of his arrests and of his convictions. So we went in, we defended the existing cases, we reopened cases that he had pled guilty, found a way to do that. I've discussed about this case in the past, so I won't elaborate. But the point is, we made all of those charges go away. Either outright dismissals or a municipal ordinance, which is not considered a crime anywhere. It's like a noise violation. I'm sorry I made too much noise when the police pulled me over. I was rude and obnoxious. Something along those lines. I'm exaggerating. I'm not talking about the specific details of this case because each case is a little bit unique and there were multiple arrests in different cities for different occurrences. Now, so we beat his cases. He had DACA. He kept DACA. The government tried to force him to continue his removal case just because he had an arrest. Actually, the attorney for the government, thank you, Paul, for your kind words. I appreciate it. Looking forward to dinner tomorrow, by the way. You're buying. Just kidding. So, I lost my train of thought. 5 arrests. The government's attorney, they're called trial attorneys, tells me good people don't get arrested. Now, my point was, look, maybe you're right, but what happens if, he got pulled over because he was black, or he got pulled over because he was Hispanic? Maybe he was discriminated against. If he wasn't convicted, how do you know he's a bad person when he wasn't convicted just because he was arrested? There's lots of reasons why someone can be arrested. The judge believed my argument. The government did not. So the judge, we filed a motion to terminate proceedings, and the judge approved it over the objection of ICE. ICE's attorney said this guy should have to file for his asylum, should go to trial, and hey, if he wins, he gets permanent status. If he loses, he gets an order of protection, but who cares because he has DACA. And my argument was, well, Your Honor, why should he be forced to do the expense of filing a petition, providing proofs, and going to trial when he has DACA? If he wants to do it, he can. But why should he be forced to? The judge agreed and closed the case. The government appealed our decision, and the Board of Immigration Appeals disagreed, because in between, the Attorney General made a decision that judges no longer have that authority. So the Attorney General made that decision. The Board of Immigration Appeals said, hey, Judge, Attorney General says you don't have the authority to do this, so you can't do it, and they overturned it. But the government didn't stop there. They also tried to revoke his DACA. Now, they were ultimately successful in his DACA because he was arrested again. So maybe he isn't the best example. And the new charge, well, that's a big one. Possession with the intent to distribute. He gets convicted of that, nobody can help him. But he likely won't be convicted for reasons I can't discuss. Long and short of it is, the moment that case goes away, and it will be going away in the next 30 days, we file for his DACA, we renew his DACA, but he still is going to have a trial even though he has DACA. It's not right, but it's just it's the situation that we find ourselves in. So, Trump wants to deport people who have DACA. I know that's earth-shattering news. Now, come June or by June, about the next 6 months, we should get a decision from the Supreme Court about whether DACA is going to stick around. Again, do they have jurisdiction to review DACA? Yes or no? If they have authority, did what Trump do? Was it wrong? If yes, DACA stays. If no, Trump could do what he wants. So 3 options, and we'll see where that goes. So stay tuned. Subscribe to our channel, and the moment we know, we'll let you know.